The Ballineen Bullet Phil Healy is one of Ireland's greatest ever sprinters. The now two-time Olympian from West Cork has had a tough couple of years, battling a thyroid issue that made her consider retiring from athletics in 2023. She didn't, and now she's part of a record-breaking Irish women's 4x400 metres relay team, winning her first international medal with silver at the recent European Championships. Phil heads to this year's Games as part of a team expected to make an Olympic final, and she spoke to Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy before flying out to Paris.
Phil, I remember we had a conversation last year before we did our Christmas special, and you were saying to me how you wanted to become a two-time Olympian. Was that always important for you to get back to another Olympics?
Yeah, I definitely think, I suppose, when it becomes so real, the cycle this year was so short, I suppose, as in like it was a 3-year cycle instead of the usual 4-year cycle. And I suppose I'm at the age where getting to 2 Olympics was possible. So when you get so close, well, I suppose when you got to Tokyo, I had achieved so much. And then you see it's a possibility to go again. It definitely was something that I was aiming for. So to come away now with hopefully becoming a 2-time Olympian will be a nice achievement to have.
What's it like to have that word Olympian beside your name?
Do you know what, to me, like, I see myself as no different to anybody else, but then others obviously see it as different, you know? But like, the Olympics is the pinnacle of any one sporting career. So to go to one was a dream. To go there in 3 events was absolutely massive. And now I suppose to get there a second time is definitely very magical. And I suppose for me, after the tough time of the last 2 years, it's even more special, I suppose, to now be going to Paris. It's going to be a very different Olympic experience to Tokyo. I suppose we went to the most non-Olympic Olympics in Tokyo, so it's going to be a different environment. It's going to be a different experience. So there's so much more going for this Olympics than the previous Olympics, I suppose.
You touched it there, Phil. I suppose those darker days, like you said, it's been a shorter Olympic cycle, but in those 3 years was a very challenging 18 months for you. So does it make you almost appreciate even more getting back to a stage like this, considering how you've said before that you came close to packing it all in, but here we are and you're heading off to Paris?
Absolutely, and even to be with the girls on the 4x4 squad. Obviously, I just missed the 200 by the tiniest margins. I think it was like 2 points overall, it's going to be like 1 place, which was so minimal. And even like my points for my current points that I have at the moment in the ranking systems would have got me into Tokyo, no problem at all. But that's the way it rolls, and I just have to accept that. But like, even if I rewind, say, to August of last year, so like not even 12 months ago, I took myself off the 4x4 relay squad because I felt I didn't have anything to offer the girls going to World Championships, and they performed superbly out there. So then I suppose 10 months later, coming away with a silver medal with the girls at European Championships and now building towards the Olympics, like, it definitely makes it a lot more special. And I suppose what I have come through and what I have overcome, and I suppose that's credit to the people around me as well for keeping me in the sport and helping me through the tough times. And I suppose it's not like I wasn't, say, like taking the easy way out of saying, oh look, I'm going to retire and I'm going to stop. I suppose I had achieved so much in my sporting career. I had been performing at the international level like year on year for 10 years, and I suppose it takes its toll both mentally and physically. And I suppose I've had a very lucky time where I didn't get injured. So then I suppose it hit harder when you do have those tough times. And I suppose it went on for so long and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. That was, I suppose, for me, why I did consider retiring.
And consider that you came through that challenging period. Do you think you're a stronger person now for it?
Yeah, definitely, in ways. I suppose I know what I have come through. I know what I've been through, and I know what I'm capable of doing on the far side. So, like, yes, all athletes go through hard times. I suppose mine went like on for longer than I hoped, but yeah, no, it definitely does stand to me. And I suppose then as athletes, we kind of sometimes forget about it really quick, and we're constantly moving on to the next thing when things are going good. But it is good to, I suppose, stop and reflect of what you actually did go through. And like, if you asked me 12 months ago, would I be going to an Olympic Games? Like, I definitely wouldn't have seen it as a possibility. So like, to be going now and to be leaving in a couple of days is very exciting.
You mentioned there 12 months ago, and it's almost like when I bring you back to a dark day. Now, you probably don't want me to mention this, but July 29th last summer was the 100-meter final at the women's at the national championships, and you finished 4th. And I'm you were like 3 seconds off your personal best, and you were telling me afterwards, you described that as a chronic performance. And look at the 12 months, Phil, where you've come from then to where you are now, like I said there, you probably just kind of enjoy this and appreciate this even more now.
Absolutely, and like that day was so chronic, and you know what, I was happy that it was so chronic that it made me like stop and get off the train, I suppose, because as athletes we constantly live in hope that things are actually going to improve, and I needed that performance to be so bad that it actually made me stop my season and take a rest, and I suppose mentally and physically recharge. So yeah, it has been a drastic change in the last, I suppose, 9-10 months, which obviously I'm thrilled with, and yeah, to be going now to an Olympic Games, to enjoy it a lot more and to have the love for the sport back again, because I definitely lost the love for the sport, and I suppose other athletes can, I suppose, appreciate the same feelings in their respective sports when they do go through a tough time, and especially when you've been doing it for so long.
And how important is that enjoyment?
Oh, that's like, it's basically like, yes, I have a full-time job at the side, but it's also my other like second full-time job. So if like, I suppose as a day-to-day person, if you're not enjoying your job, going to work every single day, you know how hard it is going to be. So sport is the exact same thing. If you're pushing yourself day in, day out, and you're not enjoying it, it becomes a chore, it becomes a task. So like, we have 11 months on and 1 month off of the year. So like, if you're not enjoying it for 11 months, that's a long, hard 11 months day in, day out.
You've mentioned Eric, and I suppose a lot has changed for you since Tokyo, which is only 3 years ago. Like, you're working a full-time job now as well. In terms of where you are in life, kind of that work-life balance and so on, do you feel you've just kind of, was life has obviously changed since 2021?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I actually enjoyed having the balance of both. And I suppose, as I've always said, sport isn't going to last forever. And I suppose the last 2 years made me realize that a lot more, that when you do go through the tougher times, and you know what, having the job during those times was a blessing, because it was a distraction. It made me switch off from the sporting side of things and focus on the work side of things. And I suppose, like, sport, yes, we've got so many opportunities. We're very lucky to travel the world, and I suppose it is a full-time job as such, but sport in Ireland isn't as lucrative as it appears to be. So like, you're not going to be making millions off sport. I'm obviously very lucky to be funded and have so many sponsors as well to help me throughout my career. But look, you have to look with your adult hat on sometimes, and in terms of like buying houses, pensions, all these different things, I wanted to have the fallback as well of having my actual career, I suppose. And I suppose when I do retire, I didn't want to be starting at the bottom of the ladder, being like 30, 31, whenever I do decide to stop, when people my age have years of work behind them as such. So for me, it was the perfect opportunity to get myself in the door into industry, get that experience, start working my way up the ladder. And it's great having the balance of both.
You mentioned 30, 31, but it's important to point out, Phil, you're still in your 20s. You know, you're still
Yes.
you're going to your second Olympics in your 20s. So even to sign off from your 20s at another Olympics, heading over there, expectations and targets. You're in both relay teams, the women's 4x4 and the mixed 4x4. What are you hoping to achieve over in Paris?
The relay team, obviously, both relay teams have great opportunities. This depth in the squad across the 7-8 athletes, a part of the 4x4 women's, and then obviously the big pool of athletes, a part of the mixed as well. We have so much opportunity. Obviously, the mixed team got to the final in 2021. The final will be the exact same aim for both relay teams again. And once you're in the final, anything can happen. So we set a new national record of 3:22 for the women in Rome. We'll definitely be looking, I suppose, to improve on that again. But it's about everybody coming together collectively to perform. And every country is going to be in the exact same position. The Olympics is the peak, is where every athlete is going to be peaking for their summer. So every country is going to be in tip-top shape. So we need to match that, and we need to perform collectively. Not only the 4 running on the day, but the subs will have their part to play as well.
I suppose it's very much a wait and see, just to see, especially with the women's 4x4s towards the end of the athletics program with the women's 400 going on at the same time. Is it a wait and see approach, just to see how the other athletes are getting on in terms of how many rounds they have in their legs and so on?
Absolutely, because even the system has changed this year now with the repechage round, so basically brings in a 4th round as well into the individual event. So yeah, it totally will be a wait and see. Obviously, we have massive depth in the squad for anybody to come in and take someone's place, but yeah, the team will be obviously doing their very best to perform collectively, and we're going to have an exciting few weeks, even in the build up of training together, doing relay practice together, before we drop down into Paris, into the Olympic Village.
is almost a silver lining to you not going in the individual 200, that you will be fresher for the relay. If you look back in Tokyo, Phil, you had the mixed relay, then you were straight into your individual event straight after, and it was a lot in a short space of time. So is there a silver lining in that you will be fresher, you won't have as many rounds in the legs when it comes to let's say the women's 4x4?
Absolutely, and I suppose, look, it was a blessing even in Rome that I didn't get to the semi-final in the 200 because it was the night before the women's 4x4 and we needed as many fresh legs as possible with the girls already having ran. So look, I suppose every athlete has their individual aspects as well, and you do want to get there individually, but I suppose the team is so strong in the 4x4, we need to be as fresh as we possibly can. So yeah, look, I will be doing everything I can for the team. And fingers crossed it'll be an exciting time again for Irish athletics.
And you mentioned going to Tokyo was an un-Olympic Olympics, so this will be a real Olympic experience in Paris. How much are you looking forward to it, and what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I think it's just the whole, I think the buzz, the atmosphere that will come with it. I suppose, especially when it's so close to home as well, there's so many people traveling. And there's some people just traveling purely for the buzz and just being around Paris itself, and they don't even have tickets. So it is going to be very exciting. Obviously, we're going to have spectators in the stand this time. That again will make a massive difference. We're not walking out into an empty stadium. So yeah, even when you look at Rome, there was such a great crew of Irish that actually traveled. That will be much stronger again, so it is going to be a very exciting time for the whole Irish team having that support, but even having the support back home as well is it's going to be exciting. And I suppose we can enjoy the lead up this time in comparison to last time. It was obviously so restricted with COVID, but yeah, you get I suppose I know no different of what a real Olympics is like because I've only experienced Tokyo, so it's going to be a whole new experience for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing the whole, I suppose, theatrical spectacle of an Olympics.
Were you always a fan of the Olympics growing up? And is there any memories that spring to mind when you hear the word Olympics?
Yeah, definitely. I would have always watched it all the ways up. Like I remember for me, Shelly-Ann Price from Jamaica was always the standout for me. Even like 2008 is the first one I remember. And I suppose then, yeah, you always watch it growing up. And especially even then, I remember watching the opening ceremony in London and different things like that. So now to be actually able to go experience some of that as well. And I know the athletes, we will definitely be able to go to the closing ceremony, I think. So like just even experiencing things like that and being there, they're going to be memories for life. So yeah, that's something I am looking forward to.
Fantastic, Phil. Have a great time over and the very best of luck.
Super. Thanks a million.
Good luck to Phil and all of our West Cork Olympians at this year's Paris Games. Don't miss this week's Southern Star for your free souvenir supplement and giant glossy poster out on Thursday, July 25th. The Southern Star's coverage of this year's Olympics is brought to you in partnership with Cork County Council.